Alright, let me just try and give a bit of background to this video as concisely as I can. Shortly after I posted rating every number one song in the UK from the 50s to the 70s, I did film myself reacting to and rating the number ones in the UK for the 80s. But after a while of not doing anything with that footage, I just decided to delete it and return to this later if I felt like it. The thought of making this video did stay in the back of my mind, even though I was putting it off for several months. And the video that Trash Theory posted last month about the most bizarre UK number ones of the 80s did help to re-motivate me to come back to this. Now, at first I tried to approach this video differently by looking over the list of number one songs in the UK for the 80s and just talking about the ones that I did know and listening to the ones that I didn't really know until I could confidently rate them. However, when I did things that way, I found that I'd been recording for nearly an hour, but I still hadn't even made it to the end of 1982. So that, combined with the nature of copyright on YouTube, makes it a bit hard to talk about all of these songs at length. I'd be happy to try and talk about any of these songs in more detail in the comments if you feel like I just glossed over any one of them or you disagree with the rating I gave one of the songs. But compared to the number ones in the UK for the 50s, 60s, and 70s, I feel like the UK number ones of the 80s gave me a bit more to talk about in general. And I would definitely like to put a further spotlight on some of the, well, bizarre number one singles that the UK had in the 80s. Hopefully there's some good commentary and reactions to go along with that though. Last two things I want to say, the actual audio from the songs that I'm listening to and rating is not quite as loud as I would have hoped because I messed up the settings a little, but I'll make sure to rectify that when I do this for the next decade or decades. Also, I'm wearing a beanie in this because I had a pimple on my forehead at the time, and I didn't think anyone particularly wanted to see that. Let's just jump into it. First UK number one of the 80s alone was Brass and Pocket by Pretenders. Solid jangly new wave song, good enough for a low 7 at the very least. Love a bit of specials. I think they got a bit better in the coming years, but early specials is still a good bit of fun. Low 8 at the very least. I don't have a whole lot of opinions on Scar in general. Okay. Well, for a country song, sounds fine enough, so we'll just give it a low 7. And we got a solid Blondie song. Upper 7, no doubt. And then we got this song that I didn't really know beforehand, but it sounds smooth and pleasant enough for a 7. And then the Jam, we've got a more underground number one hit here. It definitely sounds like my kind of thing. I'm giving the Jam an 8. And we've got some decent like Motown kind of disco. So that's a 7 as well. More Blondie. So that's a 7 again, yeah. I listened to this song earlier because I hadn't really heard it before. I like it's got a pretty groovy brass line and kind of rough but soulful and overall good vocals as well. I don't know how much I'd like it if I started to hear it more and more often, but it's definitely 7 at a minimum. Alright, we've got it's a kind of schmaltzy Eurovision winning song, but it's competent enough that it'll get a 7 for me. Yes, Theme from MASH. I now know that this song went to number one not because MASH ended this year, it actually ended 3 years later, but it's because a radio DJ played the song on his show constantly and that got people to buy the single. It's got a great, like, Beach Boys-esque kind of folky instrumental backing, very nice harmonies for sure, and then when you look at the lyrics, this song basically invented emo. It's going to be the first 9 out of 10 for this decade. And we got Don McLean covering Roy Orbison. Sounds like it was competent enough, so 7. We got Xanadu.
Whatever.
Just very, very of the era in the worst way, I feel. Okay. Yeah, it's a nice kind of R&B song. So that's an upper 7. And then we got one of ABBA's stronger hit singles for sure, so that's a 7 too. And then we got Bowie, another one of his stronger songs, at least another one of his stronger hits. I'm giving it an 8 because it's definitely a breath of fresh air compared to some of the number ones that we may get for this decade. We've got the Jam again. I was listening to this song earlier as well. It's got a nice bridge, it's got a kind of wacky guitar solo for this sort of style, and that really pushed it up in my estimation. So this song gets an 8 as well. This is also kind of wacky, at least as far as the like disco era goes. It's fine enough. So it gets a 7 as well. And then we've got the best-selling song of 1980 by The Police. Also a solid 7. I think there's better Police songs out there for sure. So I wouldn't quite go higher than a 7 for this one, but it's still pretty damn good. And we got Barbra Streisand. Generous 6. Alright. Not one of Blondie's best singles, but it's fine enough for a low 7, I guess. Yeah, that ABBA song, again, another very generous 6, I reckon. John Lennon, not one of his best either. I don't hate it so much that I'm going to shit on it, which means I'll just settle for a 6 for this one. And then, what in the Margaret Thatcher's England is this shit? I was looking this up expecting this to be at least a charity single, but apparently not. That's going to be a generous 5 out of 10. And a generous 7 for Imagine. Overplayed, but really not bad at its core. This one's a strong 7. I much prefer this one over Imagine. Alright, I hadn't fully considered until I saw that Trash Theory video how this song is like a response to the discrimination that Joe Dolce faced over his Italian heritage. I could respect it a little more in that regard, but does that make the song better? Absolutely not. So, at best, 5 out of 10 for that one as well. And this is a cover of a John Lennon song. Bit schmaltzy as well, but low 7. Here's Shakin' Stevens. Alright, I'm starting to think I may have been a little bit harsh on this guy during the Australian number ones ratings. It's hokey, but, you know, largely inoffensive. Also, I was watching The Cleaner with Greg Davies, and there's an episode where he hires a Shakin' Stevens tribute band, and then you go to the credits, and it turns out the tribute singer was played by Shakin' Stevens himself, which I really like. You know, this isn't really for me, but I wouldn't go lower than a 6. It's just a 6. And then this. What do you even say about that? I can't even figure out what kind of subgenre of 80s pop it is. It's kind of new wave, but it's just odd, but not in an experimental way. I don't know. That's a 6 as well, I guess. Alright, this is an improvement. Very theatrical, but also with an edge to it. So I'm going to give Stand and Deliver an 8. And then Smokey Robinson, you know what you're getting with Smokey Robinson. Solid, smooth R&B for a 7. Okay. Well, that song sounded a bit but when you've got Michael Jackson's voice involved, it's going to save it from being any lower than a 7, I'd say. And then fucking Ghost Town, oh yeah. See, this is the kind of stuff that the specials were building towards that I generally prefer. You know, the song's got an eerie feel, but it combines that with the lightheartedness of ska, and it's just really cool. I don't know. I don't have any better adjectives for it. It's just really cool. And it's a 9 out of 10. And we got more Shakin' Stevens of it. So again, I'm just going to give this a 6 and move on. And well, musically, that song sounds fine enough. I don't really want to dwell on it for too long. So I'm just going to give it an upper 6, I reckon. Another synth pop classic. I've heard it a bit too much in my life to really, really get into it, but for what it is, it's pretty damn good. Upper 7 for Soft Cell for sure. And this is another one of the stranger number ones of the decade, I'd say. You know what? Yeah, 8 for Adamant once again, and then a very strange synth pop cover of It's My Party. Don't really know what to make of that overall, but it's an interesting remake. And interesting enough for a 7. More Police. This song's just fine. I don't really have much of a attachment to it. It'll get a 7. Yeah. And then we got Under Pressure, you know, another upper 7. 7 out of 10 basically means it's not a song that I would put on high rotation, but it's a song that I absolutely have zero problem with knowing that it was a number 1 hit. And we got Julio Iglesias. More of a disco-y song than I'd expect from him. Low 7. Fucking Human League, let's go. Even though this isn't really a song that I put in high rotation either, despite very much liking the Human League, it's a pretty phenomenal pop song of the era. So it's going to get an 8 out of 10. And I did see them perform this song live. I'm not sure if I got a clip of it, but here is at least a clip that I got of the Human League performing live. More Bucks Fizz. Were they a Eurovision band, I think? And hang on, what's... Okay, I was going to say this sounds like they're trying to be UB40, but it might be before UB40. I don't know. Upper 6. We got more shakin. So we're just going to give all Shakin' Stevens a 6. Alright, let me tell you, the first time I found out that this was a #1 hit, I pogged so hard. I already knew that Autobahn was kind of a hit, but yeah, I didn't realize that they had a genuine #1 single in the UK. And it's interesting because this single here, this double A side, is basically the two songs that first got me into Kraftwerk. Computer Love was the first song of theirs that I properly heard, and when I first heard it, it was like, oh, so that's where Coldplay got that riff from. Then I kept listening to it, it's like, well, this is pretty cool. I was really young when I first heard this song, and then I think I just kind of overplayed it and just stopped caring about it for a while, didn't revisit it until adulthood. And then The Model was the second Kraftwerk song that I properly heard, and I thought it was really cool as well. And yeah, now I'm pretty big into them. I've also seen them live, had a good time, and as you can probably guess, I'm giving this a 10. Yeah, for Computer Love in particular, it's definitely got an 80s sound, but it's like in a way that no one else in the sort of synth pop genre was really doing at the time. Incredible song. Alright. This is like the only jam song that I actually properly heard growing up. Those earlier songs that came up, I think they're definitely more my kind of thing, but this is still a 7. Yeah. Okay, yeah, this cover of Lion Sleeps Tonight. Very, very 80s in possibly a not great way, but whatever, low 7, I guess. Don't know this song at all, or this band. I don't know this song well enough to give it a rating in good confidence. I'm just gonna abstain from this one. Well, I don't really know this song either, but just for that sample, I like its up-tempo nature. It's like very watered-down Devo. That could be a whole lot worse, you know? I'm still going to just give it a 7, but it's probably the best Bucks Fizz song that we'll hear. At least in my opinion. You know, I don't think that song is as bad as a lot of people say, but I mean, it's not great. So I'll just give it a 6 at most anyway. I don't really know that song, but it doesn't sound like the kind of song I particularly want to know. Still, I'm going to give it a maybe generous 6 out of 10. Not for this song, which, you know what, I don't really listen to Madness, but this song is so kooky and another breath of fresh air on the top of the chart that I'm going to give it a low 8. And then we got probably, this feels just a bit too corny compared to the other Adam Ant related stuff that we got. So I'm not a huge fan of this one, but it's still good enough for like an upper 6.
Whatever.
I don't know if I've heard that song in full before, but again, I probably don't want to. Fucking Captain Sensible! How the fuck did that even happen? Like, a punk guitarist suddenly going solo, covering, was it Rodgers and Hammerstein? I don't even know if I'd like the song itself if I heard more of it, but just because Captain Sensible's bass, it's gonna be a low 8. Yeah, Fame, just another decent, 7. I mean, it's kind of hard to describe these sort of songs that have been so ubiquitous in pop history and everything, you know, songs that you heard all the time. But, you know, Dexys were doing things that a lot of the pop at this time weren't doing, you know, going to the folkier, skiffle kind of thing. And, well, I'd say they do a better sort of, you know, 50s, 60s revivalism sort of thing than Shakin' Stevens did. Again, that's not too much against Shakin' Stevens. That's more just a personal preference. But Come On Eileen, it's a 7, yeah. This song's cheesy as hell, but I've never really disliked this song. It's fine. I feel like if I listened to more Survivor, I'd just get very sick of it quickly, but whatever, yeah. 7, yeah. Yeah, I guess this is a 7.
Yeah.
They never really played that song on the radio here, but... And another 7 for Culture Club, just another strong... Alright, I don't know... Yeah, well, okay, I don't know this Eddie Grant song. I mean, the only Eddie Grant song I really know is Electric Avenue, which is a bit less, I guess, sort of Caribbean than this song. I don't mind the sound of that one, though. We'll give it another low 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really know this jam song. It's a 7, I guess. What do you even say about that one? That one's also on the Trash Theory video. Pretty interesting way it turned out. I don't know about the song itself. I'm going to give Rene and Renato an upper 6. This just gets a 6 as well. A little bit too corny for a 7. Down Under is definitely at least an upper 7. This is like a low 7, just kind of decent pop. More decent pop. So... upper 7. Total Eclipse of the Heart's a generous low 6. Alright. Duran Duran, they've got good stuff. As very polished as Duran Duran could be, they've got very solid stuff. I don't know if that particular song is among their best singles, though. I'm going to give it a low 7 still, though. This is maybe an upper 6, like... Songs like this Spandau Ballet song, I'd be like, oh, this is shit, but not in like a unlistenable way. So I'm still going to give it a 6. It's just too musically competent to really dislike with every fiber of my being. It's fine. Okay. That gets a Jackson 5 out of 10. All right. As far as The Police's mega hits goes, this is probably the best one. You know what? Low 8. Okay, low 6 for that Rod Stewart song that I don't particularly know, but sounds very of its time. Upper 5.
Whatever.
We'll give Casey and the Sunshine Band a low 7. Alright. For probably the only time in this video, I'm going to give UB40 a 7 for that song. That would have been the first UB40 song that I heard, and then the more of their songs I've heard, they just get progressively worse. The more that they just sort of repeated that shtick, just... nah. Culture Club, definitely not as bad. Not bad. So another 7 for that one. Yeah, a low 7 for Uptown Girl. Obviously, it's sort of cheesy because it's deliberately going for that 60s pop style. Yeah, what is? Because it's like an a cappella version of the Yazoo song. I guess just because I don't really know anything about it, it can't be any higher than a 7. Yeah, that doesn't sound like one of Paul McCartney's better songs that I've heard. But I'm only gonna go as low as a 6 for that one. I've never really gotten into Frankie Goes to Hollywood, but like the swagger of this song is just immeasurable. I reckon it gets a low 8. This is an upper 8 for sure. It's just a damn good 80s pop rock song, that one. And then Hello by Lionel Richie. Low 6. Okay, a better Duran Duran song than the one we heard before. It's like a low 7 as well. Yeah, a bit overplayed, but this gets a 7 as well. Okay, still solid, but not as good as Relax, but still a 7. I don't hate it. It's got to be at least a 7, just because George Michael was such a talent. This is fine, low 7. More Wham. I'd probably prefer that song over Wake Me Up Before You Go Go, just because it isn't quite as cheesy. Still a 7, but... oh, hang on. Okay, we got... Yeah, 7. Oh, here we go. More like I should have written a better fucking song. 4 out of 10. Seven as well, very powerful vocals, and then we got, regardless of how much good that actually did charity-wise, just the song is, I reckon that's a 4 out of 10. This is like an upper 5 maybe. What the hell is this? Is this from Chess the Musical? 5, upper 5. You know, I'm feeling a low 8 on this one. Pretty cool. Well, this is a strong 7. Definitely one of a better example of Phil Collins's like Motown era. Well, I'd say musically this song's better, but you know, I'm gonna be nice, give this a low 6. Okay, I don't know the song. It sounds a bit slow, but let's give this a 6. And then, yeah, I know this song from the Trash Theory video as well. Just a 7, I guess. I'm presuming that this one was in the wake of the Hillsborough tragedy. But, you know, it's also a good song at its core. So, definitely an upper 7 at a minimum. Okay, yeah, I didn't realize Sister Sledge had hits besides We're Family. But that's a 6, I guess. Alright, getting a bit more interesting with Eurythmics, so that's an upper 7. Yeah, early Madonna. It has its ups and downs, but that's a 7 still. Here we go. We got a low 6 for that one. An upper 7 for Dance in the Street, as strange as it is, and as much as it probably didn't need to exist.
Probably should have been more careful with my words then.
Alright, what's this mid-Ewer song? It sounds decent enough, low 7. Maybe an upper 5. This one's very drippy, but I'd still just give it a 6. We got Wham again, so Wham is usually good enough for a 7, I'd say. Yeah, at least a 7 for Whitney Houston. Undeniable talent. I mean, just Christmas songs in general are just kind of like fucking whatever. But Shakin' Stevens Christmas songs, still okay. I'm still just go as low as a low 6. Yeah, this one particular song feels like none of their peers with this song with playing synth parts like this. It's the majestic string synth. So it's an extremely commendable '1 song. And I would have thought it was a fairly unlikely hit as well, but yeah, I'm going to give this low 8 as well. Alright, an Aha song that isn't the one that everyone knows. I do wish the clips in this video were longer, but evidently they can't be too long, otherwise the video would have gotten claimed or whatever. I guess this is a low 7.
Magnum Dong.
Upper 6 for Billy Ocean. Low 7 for Diana Ross. Yep, no. 9 out of 10 because the young ones are based. Alright, for the first time, I think I'm going to give George Michael a 6, just because this sounds a bit too slow for my liking. Yeah, okay, we got another unique '1, so at least a 7. Speaking of unique, what can you even say about that? Oh no, I'm just going to abstain from this rating because, like, where do you even begin? This is a 6. The Norman Greenbaum original is infinitely better. Alright. Okay, this just sounds like Wake Me Up Before You Go Go, but not as good. Upper 6. Maybe a low 7 if I'm feeling generous. Upper 5 for Lady in Red. I don't really know this song too well, but it sounds smooth enough for a low 7. This song's pretty good too. Energetic. Definitely worth at least a 7. I definitely know of this Madonna song. I haven't heard it all that often. But Madonna tends to not be, you know, super unlistenable unless maybe you get towards her later stuff. So below 7. And again, I know this song from the Trash Theory video from EastEnders. 5 out of 10. Screw off. Made a generous low 7 for that one. And this is a 7 as well. Extremely corny, but in a kind of fun way. I think that's all that really needs to be said about that. And there's Fat Boy. How the fuck do songs like this get to number 1? I mean, I just feel like, on principle, an a cappella song by an indie band is like at least 8 out of 10. Song from the 1950s for some reason. Yeah, it sounds fun enough, so it's a 7. Early house music. Just because I haven't heard the full song, I'll just give a 7 as well. This is a 6, just a little bit generic compared to the other George Michael stuff. Okay. I guess this must have been because of the film of the same name. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, 8 out of 10 for this one. Really powerful song for sure. Okay, Boy George solo single. All right. Oh, hello UB40. Okay, no, it sounds a bit better than UB40, but I'd still probably only give it a 6. This song is, I guess this must have been the first Stock Aitken Waterman single. There's a lot of very, very bland Stock Aitken Waterman kind of stuff, but this one's still, I guess, good enough for a 7. And we got a charity single, but at least they're singing a decent song instead of writing a trash one. Up a 6. More Madonna, so it's, yeah, whatever. Low 7. Up a 6. Alright, back to 7 for Whitney. Star Trekkin', fucking A. 8 out of 10. Definitely not as good as West End Girls, but good enough for a 7. Okay, Madonna's... Yeah, honestly, I'm kind of getting tired of seeing Madonna songs in this, so... Yeah, until she starts to reinvent herself, her songs are just going to be 6s. That was a 6, I reckon. Yeah, 7. I didn't know Chino Moreno was the guitarist for Los Lobos. Okay, I don't know this song at all. I don't know the other singer either. Up a 6, I guess. Up a 7. Yeah, this is one of those songs that you hear all the time, but you're never going to fully hate it, even if you start hearing it everywhere. We got Pump Up the Volume, yeah? Another pretty groundbreaking early dance sample-based song. I don't know. Not one that I really listened to in my own time, but strong 7 at least. Okay. Low 7 if I'm being generous. 6. Yeah, definitely a stronger Pet Shop Boys single again. That was a 7. Low 7 for Belinda Carlisle. 6 for this one. Just a bit very dated, I feel. Speaking of dated, low 6 still though. Don't really know this song, but it just sounds like decent kind of reggae pop, so 7. I don't know, I think I'm only feeling up a 6 for that one. Don't really know that song, but just from that sample, it sounds pretty groovy. You know what? Let's give this an 8. Despite my limited knowledge of it. Yeah, this song's pleasant enough for a 7. Okay, with a little help from my friends. This is probably my favourite song from Sgt. Pepper's. This version, I don't even know. It's maybe an upper 6. It just doesn't sound like it really adds much to the song. And then, yeah. Fuck it, 8 out of 10. I'm not even gonna try and elaborate. Generic, but I guess still low 7 maybe. That's a 6. Yeah, this is a pretty fun late 80s pop tune, I guess. Upper 7. Ugh. Too slow. 5 out of 10. I think that was my original rating in the Australian video, and I think I'll stick by it. Low 7, I guess. Mid to upper 7 for this one. I guess a 6 for this Whitney Houston song, just because the song itself doesn't sound all that interesting. This isn't the best Eddie song I've heard. I definitely prefer Only Time, or that one song that the Fugees turned into Ready or Not. But another breath of fresh air here. So it's a 7 at the very least, for sure. Oh. No, too much over singing. I think that's just going to be a 5. Mistletoe and what? Best-selling song? What? Never even heard of this shit.
Oh, I'll have some wine, please.
Another 5 for that one. I was expecting this to be a lot worse. Just give it a 6. Okay, Mark Armand. Yeah, I didn't realize he had solo hits. Or a solo hit, maybe. Yeah, whatever. Low 7. This song's a bit soppy, but yeah, decent. You know what? Whatever. Mid to upper 7 for that one, and then Jason Donovan. Wait. I'm just gonna give Jason Donovan a 6 and move along. Maybe low 7. This song feels like it leaves a lot to be desired, but whatever. Low, yeah, like a low 7 for the Bengals as well. You know what? Yeah, let's just give a low 7 to that Kylie Minogue song. It's probably the best Kylie #1 we've had so far. Okay, maybe this was for the Hillsborough disaster. I don't know what the other... That's a 7. There's maybe an upper 6. There's gonna be an upper 7. Definitely refreshing compared to Jason Donovan. Okay. This might be the point where Stockacre Walton starts to decline a bit in quality. 6 for that one, and then we got fucking Jive Bunny. 4 out of 10 for that one. I might have given it a 3 during the Australian video, but I don't care enough to dwell on it for much longer. This song's a little bit too repetitive for a 7, I think, but up at 6. Ugh. Alright, well, I'll give a generous 4 to Swing the Mood, but yeah, the more they rehash that crap, this is going to be a 3. I feel like I'd heard this song now and then growing up, but never knew what it was or who it was. Still don't really know who Lisa Stansfield is, but yeah, it's, I guess, a low 7. Alright. Yeah, low 7. Like I said, it's a 3. And Band-Aid 2. What did I give it the first time? A 5, a 4? Whatever I gave the first Band-Aid, it gets the same rating, yeah.
I'd say that was a noticeably more interesting selection of songs than the #1s in Australia for the same decade. And outside of charity singles and lazy medleys of older songs, the lesser songs in that set were largely just average rather than awful. Now, I also recorded a UK #1s for the 90s segment, but I watched everything back later and realized that my microphone cut out early on. So I'm going to redo that later, and that's going to be the end of this particular video. By the way, I reckon Suzi Quatro is not all that bad. I think her songs may have just been overplayed in my part of the world.